Hi again, ladies and gentlemen. Well, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for your attention and your attendance over the last 5 days of this inaugural virtual conference, WFS Live, powered by Ronaldo. And what better way to close than to have the man himself on stage, as it were, to take care of our final session. Now, this will be very, very special indeed, because we're bringing together two titans of the game, and indeed two current presidents. One of them is president of football's world governing body, FIFA, and the other is president of La Liga club Real Valladolid, Gianni Infantino and Ronaldo Nazario. Now, this will take the form of a fascinating fireside chat with plenty to discuss as the tectonic plates continue to shift in world football. Not only will we be able to take many learnings from their long careers in football, but be it as players, executives, presidents, of course, hopefully will also get their take on the many talking points in the beautiful game right now and use all of that experience to maybe predict a few trends for the future of football as well. So it is a pleasure to welcome them both. Ronaldo, who has joined us before at World Football Summit in Madrid, and of course we've seen him appear at WFS Live, powered by Ronaldo this week. It's great to see you again. And Gianni, who is making his WFS debut. But don't worry, Gianni, I'm sure that Fenomeno will make his trademarked gentleness for you as a player today. Ronaldo, the floor, or should I say the pitch, is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you. And thank you very much, Mr. President, and welcome. It's a huge pleasure to have you on our World Football Summit by Ronaldo, the best guest we could have in the football world. So welcome, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is a pleasure.
Yeah.
It is a great pleasure to be with you at this WFS by Phenomenal. Ronaldo number 1, number 9, whatever. You have to choose if you want to be number 1 or number 9. You are number 1 anyway.
Yeah, thank you. So, Mr. President, I have a big challenge. I'm not a presenter. I'm not a journalist. So, I have so many questions for you, and I have all here. So, I'm gonna read it for you the questions. So it's not gonna be a normal conversation.
So that's okay.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So should we start?
Shoot.
Okay. Since you become FIFA president, a lot has happened. Sorry, my AirPods. Since you become FIFA president, a lot has happened. It feels like you never stop work, president. And now comes the coronavirus, bringing issues and problems to the world of football of an enormous scale. After all this, do you still enjoy this job?
Well, let me just say, first of all, of course, hello, everybody. I think there must be 2 or 3 persons listening and watching this. So, as it was said before, good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I heard that the event so far was really successful. So congratulations to all of you. Now, do I still enjoy my job? Well, it's not a job to start with. You know, that is the main point. It is a passion. And when you are a football fan, like I am, and have the chance to be at the same time FIFA president, well, you can only enjoy what you do. Because at FIFA, the new FIFA, as I think you know certainly, we try to make things better, to make football better, to make football truly global, to bring it in all corners of the world, to make sure that the conditions to play and to develop football, boys, girls, men, women, professionals, amateurs, at all different levels, that this can be improved, that this can become better. Now, obviously, with this COVID-19 pandemic that we all faced, this brought us some challenges that we were not prepared to face. Society in general, football as well. We have all been talking a lot about unity and solidarity, but the COVID-19 has brought us actually lockdowns and confinement. So more individuality than teams and sport. And we had to face the situation. So we try, of course, to support all those who are in need with different measures, and we'll speak about them, I'm sure, later on. But when you have the opportunity to do something 24 hours a day that you love, then you can only enjoy. And when, in addition to this, what you do together with many, many other people brings joy to people and smiles, what can you want more from life?
Yeah, I know that, and I do appreciate that is that way. And how did you cope with the coronavirus crisis? What was the hardest element?
I think for me, one of the hardest elements of this coronavirus crisis was that there was no more football. Right? Football stopped basically everywhere in the world, with the exception of a couple of countries. And football had never stopped. I mean, since World War II, it is the first time that football really stopped for such a long period. So this is certain that we had to. Another element for me as well, personally, is that I stopped traveling. I was traveling before. So I thought, well, now I can enjoy a little bit staying at home and whatever. But actually, I realized that when I was traveling, I was seeing, one country or a group of persons at once. Since I was not traveling, everyone in the world was thinking that I'm home doing nothing, so I have to be available for everyone around the world. So I ended up being more busy than before, because if you're not available at 9 o'clock in the morning, you are available at 11 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon or at 6 o'clock in the evening, and you have to find time. But besides that, of course, I think what was important during this period is to really connect with many people around the world, connect with the football stakeholders, with the federations, trying to be there to listen to everyone, to try to encourage everyone, and to come with some proposals and ideas as well, but focusing, and this also is new for us, on something we had not realized before, which is actually health is the most important in our life. Without health, we have nothing. It's even more important than football. And we had to realize it. But, we are working on it, and the possibility to be able to exchange and to speak with many people gives us also, and gave me personally as well, the possibility to listen on how we can maybe shape our football for the future in a different way, in a better way, because we will come back to normality, but we hope the normality will be better than the normality we have known before, right?
Oh, that's nice. Give us a sense of FIFA strategy to lead football out of the crisis. Many decisions were taken in federation or league level. So what was FIFA role?
We had to try not to fight with too many people about all these things, because everyone was trying to defend his own corner and his own competition, but we had to try to organize and coordinate a little bit the different activities. There was no, and there is still no global, of course, magic solution to the pandemic, to the crisis we are facing. So our role has simply been to set a little bit. It's not VAR. It's a framework and help that everyone can then adapt to the local situations. I mean, we see, if I take two countries which are near to Switzerland, where FIFA is based, in France, they stopped the league. In Germany, they didn't continue immediately, but they stopped for a little bit, then they continued, then meantime, they already finished the league and they come as well. And these are two neighboring countries. So it is impossible to have one solution for the entire world, but what was important is to set the framework, to try to help, to try to give advice and opinions, and mainly to foster as well a spirit of solidarity and of unity and of understanding. Because when, for example, Europe and South America asked to postpone the European Championship by 1 year, or the Copa America by 1 year, all the rest of the world has, looked at this in a positive spirit as well. So I think this is also an important message of solidarity.
Tell us about the FIFA COVID-19 Relief Fund and the support that your member association can hope to receive.
Well, we are in a lucky situation, I think, that in the last few years we have been working very, very carefully with our finances. This means that the financial situation of FIFA is very strong and very stable. This has allowed us, in this particular time, to help. So we approved last week a COVID-19 relief fund of a global value of 1.5 billion US dollars. No other sports body has done anything similar to that. These 1.5 billion US dollars are divided into an immediate release of cash for those associations who are in most need, of course, and then a next step based on a grant and a loan for the future to take this into account. We have to care as well about, in this relief fund, women's football. And that's why, for example, one part of this relief fund will be dedicated specifically to women's football, because when football stops, everyone thinks on the big leagues, on the big competitions, and then you tend to forget the lower divisions, the smaller countries, those who maybe don't have the possibilities to do all the tests or whatever, and you forget as well women's football. And it is important for FIFA to, of course, think about all these elements of football. That's why, of course, 1.5 billion is a big amount. When you divide it to the entire world, it becomes much less for each country, but it should be invested in the right places where it can have, where it can really still have an impact.
That is amazing, President.
And
What are
sorry,
your...
one thing I want to add here, because since, as I think, 2 or 3 persons are listening, one thing that is important as well in this, and also looking a little bit at the history of FIFA, it is important that when we speak about money and FIFA, we also say at the same time that everything is carefully audited and checked. So there will be also here a specific steering group chaired by Mr. Olli Rehn, who is the governor of the Bank of Finland, who was vice president of the European Commission. He and his team, they will also make sure that everything is done in the correct way. I think it's important to realize that it's not just money being sent out, but that it is really money to be invested where it's needed. Sorry, but I wanted to make this point.
Amazing. What are your concerns about the welfare of the players with the increase of matches, especially for those on the Champions League, and also the short break between seasons?
Yeah, this is a very good point, and if we see that now, the Champions League will be finished at the end of August. Um, Thereafter, we have immediately national team games. The new season starts. It will end up with the Euro and the Copa America. Then we are already 21, 22, which is again the year of the World Cup, and we will need to recover some other games. So it will be a very tight schedule for the next couple of years. And we have to realize, especially we, that the core of football are the players. I think some people in some management positions have forgotten that, certainly in the past, maybe some as well in the present. We have to realize that we, FIFA or anyone organized football, we are here to make sure that the stage is set for the main actors, which are the players, to shine. And we need to be very careful and very mindful about this, about the health of the players. And for this reason, for example, I'm happy that the IFAB agreed on proposal of FIFA that there should be 5 substitutions in this particular period. Is this something positive or something negative for the future? Well, we will analyze that. We will speak with everyone, of course, and we will assess it. But in this particular period, where players had to have a break for a few months, then had to come back, had immediately to play, it is important to give more opportunities and more possibilities to care for their health. But I mean, you are a player, right? I've even heard that you are not so bad as a player. Uh, what do you think about this? I mean, is the 5 substitutions, for example, a good measure in this respect? Or do we have even to think further about how many games can a player play in a year, or how many minutes, or how should we organize our calendar in a different way? What do you think about this?
Uh, I like the solution of 5 substitution. This crisis came and was nobody was prepared for that, and I think it's gonna all the players gonna have. Well, we see here on La Liga, we put 3 or 4 players from the team B. So it's great opportunity for all players that they not play using. Anyway, there is things. I don't know if the people know about that, but we have a great discussion in FIFA and talk about the all the how can we make football better in the future. I was in a workshop with another legends and Pierluigi Collina and Arsene Wenger, and we and thanks of you because you are listening a lot of for the players. You listen to the legends, and that is a good way to make a change for the football. And we all thank you for that in your city. Let's continue, President. How do you think about the international match calendar would look like?
Well, that's also a good question. Next time we'll speak about the offside. In the next 4 we'll speak about the offside rule that we were discussing.
Yeah.
But you're right.
It's gonna be polemic. My answer of offside. I don't know if
Yeah,
Arsene Wenger told you about that.
yeah. I know. But I mean, we need to make football more attractive, more positive, more offensive, and if we need to listen to somebody, we need to listen to you. So, you have my full support on this.
I agree.
But to come back on the international match calendar, it's a good question because when you speak about it, you find out that nobody's really happy with the current international match calendar. You have national team games in September, October, November, then in March, then in June. You have players who have to travel half the world back and forth for these games. You have different competitions, you have additional competitions. I think it is time to speak about it. I don't know how the ideal international match calendar can look like, or maybe I know, but I don't want to say it yet. It's important to listen first. It's important to get input, to get opinions, to get views, to find the right balance. You have been playing and winning for the best clubs in the world, right? Including the very best club in the world. And also with the national team.
What is that one?
No, I don't know. One of the clubs you are playing.
I know which one.
and it's Inter, of course, as you know. But also for the national team. And it's important for us that we find the right balance between clubs and national teams. And not only a few clubs in Europe and a few national teams in Europe and Brazil and Argentina, but much wider than that, all over the world. And we need to make sure that when we rethink our competitions at FIFA level, but also at national level, we take the experience as well that we made now with this crisis on board, and we bring everything on it. We see how can we make football more impactful, because it's true that for some players or clubs or teams there is maybe too much, for others on the other side there is too little. How can we balance this maybe a little bit better?
Nice. And what about the new Club World Cup? A lot of big clubs have already said they are looking forward to it. What do you think? Some people seem to be afraid of this competition.
Well, some people, I don't know why they are afraid of this competition. Maybe because it will become the best club competition in the world very soon. But beside that, I think that it's not in a competition to anything. It is an example, actually, of what I was saying before. Because when we decided to do the Club World Cup, the new Club World Cup, we decided at the same time to discontinue, to stop with the Confederations Cup and the current Club World Cup. So I think we are the first sports body in the world who doesn't just add, but who replaces and makes something which is more relevant, which is more interesting. I think, when we see the impact that the World Cup for national team has, and you have won it, so you know it, what it has as an impact for a country, for the world. And when we look at the impact of club football today, these big clubs, which are more than just representing their city or their country, but they represent fans all over the world. I think to have the idea of having the best clubs in the world from all continents reunited together for a couple of weeks to decide in a knockout competition who is the best in the world is something that can excite fans. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, you come back to play for such a competition?
I love that competition. I love that the way of that new competition, and I hope we can play with Valladolid someday. One of the positive effects of the coronavirus crisis is goodwill. Do you think it brought the world of football together in a different way?
I think it brought the world of football together, even if, of course, everyone is trying to defend his own position, his own interests. But we try to have, together with others, a coordination role. And I think that what actually this coronavirus has shown to all of us is how interdependent we are, how the world is small, how small we are in front of something like this, how if something happens in one place in the world, it can affect the entire globe. And that's why I think we realized as well, or we will realize going forward, that we need global solutions when we speak about football as well. We cannot just think on football for in a few countries. We need to think about it globally, as I was saying, for the international match calendar, when we issue our regulations, when we make sure that we invest in youth football, that we invest in women's football all over the world. And I think that this crisis, which has somehow separated us, but also created more contacts because we needed to find solutions all together, will help in this process.
We all miss fans at the stadium and have reaffirmed how important they are for football. How do you say? How do you see the role involving the future?
Well, I have to say, I don't know how you feel, and I will ask you as well, but to watch these games without spectators is sad. It's sad. Of course, it's better than nothing, but fans are, I mean, I was saying before that the players are the heart of the game, the fans are the soul of the game. I think without fans, it's like without players. It's not really football. Now, in this moment, it's not possible because of health reasons, but we need to work to have the fans back in the stadium as soon as it's possible from a health point of view. And we need as well to make sure, and that's why the Club World Cup, for example, we need to make sure as well that fans all over the world can enjoy the best football all over the world as well. As FIFA president, it is my ambition, of course, and I hope we can achieve this objective at some stage with the help of the fans, which are crucial and are living all over the world.
Yeah, we all miss the fans, and I can say as former football player that all we do is for them, and so we wait for the fans back soon.
Did you ever play? Did you ever play a match without fans yourself?
Yeah. Some matches. Yeah.
How do you feel as a player? It's not.
Well, sometimes I answer many times this question because every time someone asks me about if I miss football, I say I don't miss many things on football. Example, training every day, I don't miss it at all. I don't miss it travel every week twice. But I really missing, the teammates, be together, and especially, of course, the fans. The fans, when I score goal for the fans, I was happy. I was not happy for me because I scored the goal. I was happy to see.
You were happy too when you were scoring goals, huh?
I was happy. I was happy seeing people happy. That was my happiness. So, what has been the biggest complication regarding play transfers and contracts during the COVID?
Well, of course, for being a president of a club in a professional club in the top division in Spain, that Um, it was not easy. We are now already in July, but normally the contracts of the players end at the end of June, and the leagues finish in May. So we are now facing, or we were facing, or we are still facing a very, very complicated situation with different laws in different countries, with different interests in different countries, and also by different clubs. So we had to find some reasonable, some flexible rules, and we amended our regulations on a temporary basis for this period on the transfers in order to protect mainly to protect the integrity of the competitions. It is important that if a player starts a competition with a club, that it finishes the competition with that club as well, or at least that we protect the integrity in the sense that on the 30th of June, this player cannot go to play for another club in the same competition and play the last few matches, because this would be, of course, not fair from a sporting point of view. Obviously, there are laws, obviously there are contracts, but we have tried to set a little flexible framework. We've been discussing with all parties, with the players' unions, with the clubs, with the leagues, with the associations, the confederations. And we looked at this, we looked at the transfer windows to make it more extended. And I have to say that the response so far has been very, very positive from the world of football. And we have so far not been inundated by legal cases in FIFA. So either we did a job which was not too bad, or people are very, very reasonable, or it's a mix of all of this. I don't know. The important is that people have some understanding for the situation and we can work together.
Cool. Let's talk about women's football that I know that you love so much and you support so much. How much of a priority is the protection of women's football post-COVID-19 to make sure it continues to thrive?
Very important. Very important. As I was saying before, women's football is a top priority for FIFA. It is. It is a top priority in many parts of the world. We have created a specific task force working group to deal with questions about women's football in this particular crisis. We have committed $1 million for the next 4 years to be invested by FIFA on women's football, and in spite of the crisis, we will continue with this investment, of course. As part of the relief plan I was mentioning before, we invest as well in women's football. So I think that we should not use coronavirus to put women's football aside. On the contrary, we need to help women's football even more because it has a bright future.
So FIFA pledged $1 billion for the development of women's football. What message would you like to send to others who are unsure whether to continue investing in the women's game? Or are you thinking of pulling out?
We are not pulling out. We are never giving up on any of our projects. And when we speak about women's football, even less, because as we know, as you know, women are the most important part of humanity, right? They are 50% at least, but they count for at least 99%, and we count maybe 1%. So we need to care about women and women football. And besides that, obviously, we have seen last year at the Women's World Cup in France, and more seriously, how big a competition the World Cup for women has become. We had more than 1.1 million spectators in the stadiums. We had 1 billion viewers on TV, which makes it, after the Men's World Cup, the biggest event, sports event, or other social event in the world. And that's why we want to invest. We have had a very important bidding process where we decided just last week who will host the next Women's World Cup in 2023. It will be Australia and New Zealand. We launched some ideas, some initiatives, and we need to foster women's football. So I really ask everyone to invest in women's football because it is the future. The figures show it. Commercially, it will also have a big impact in the future as well. And we need to think what we can do better. And one idea that came in this period and even before as well is maybe that we should organize the Women's World Cup every 2 years instead of every 4 years. Because, for example, for the next Women's World Cup in 2023, we had a lot of interest from around the world. We'll go to Australia and New Zealand. And then what happens next? Should we go to South America? Colombia was a bidder. Brazil was bidding as well. But maybe in 4 years, Europe wants to organize it again. Or North America wants to organize it again. And why not South America? Why not Africa? So we need to see what we can do. And I think these kind of events like a World Cup, short events like the Club World Cup I was mentioning, short events of a few weeks where the best players, the best teams are together, are events that we need to foster because everyone loves them. I mean, in Brazil, the women's match against France at the last World Cup, Women's World Cup, had higher viewing figures than some of the matches of the men's national team in the Copa America.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing, yeah.
Other parts of the world as well.
Yeah. FIFA has been involved legends and current players on many initiatives, like the fight against coronavirus and the races. What's your position about the legends and players deciding to use their voice for society's topics?
I am very supportive of this. I'm very supportive of these initiatives. I think that we should use the impact of players, of legends in our society, because you can play a very important role in this respect. We created last year a foundation, a FIFA Foundation, which did not exist before. Didn't exist. Now we created it, and actually the CEO of this foundation is somebody that you certainly know as well, Yuri Djorkaeff, who is working with us in this project. And I think it is important that we invest in society, and we invest in society together. I said it a few times already, normal people like us, when we work and when we stop working, we become ex-lawyer, ex-policeman, ex-doctor. You, football player, when you stop playing football, you don't become ex-player. You become legend. And this is something special in the eyes of many, many people, because you are an example to many people. So you have something to say, and we should, I think, foster this all together.
I agree. How do you see the impact of football to transform people's lives? And how important is it to FIFA?
For us, it is for FIFA. It is certainly also one of our top priorities. Football can have an impact in society, not only to help those who can become professional players, obviously, but more generally because it brings people really together. It brings countries together. It gives so much emotion, so much joy, so much good feeling. It teaches as well so much. It gives lessons for life. You know it, of course, better than me. When you win a match, you are in a good mood, right?
Yeah.
And and you are in a good mood until the next match. When you lose a match, you are in a bad mood. But you're in a bad mood for a short period of time, maybe a few hours or one day, because then you start focusing on the next match.
And the next match, yeah.
You want to win, because there is always a next match. And these are lessons, I think, for life that we want to give to children, and that football can give to children. And for this, with the foundation, with FIFA, we started collaborations with the United Nations, with the World Health Organization, with the African Union, with the World Food Program, all these kind of collaborations which did not exist before, but which can benefit from sport and from football and from the lessons that I think football can help to give.
I agree, Mr. President. And how much responsibility should FIFA take to help educate young people?
Well, that's actually a very important topic as well, and very close to our hearts, because education is one of the main threats that we have for the future of our society, more generally. That's why, for example, with the foundation, we launched a program that we call Football for Schools, which is not teaching school children how to play football, but using football and the messages that football can give of respect, of fair play, of respect to the opponent, of team building, team play, team spirit, of non-discrimination, many topics that through football we can speak to children and we can help in the education of children. So FIFA is investing in this Football for Schools program $100 million to give 700 million children around the world the possibility, as I said, not only to play football, but mainly to have, through football, maybe the possibility to learn a few skills which are important for their lives. We are seeing it now with also the coronavirus crisis. If you have a very important medical professor who tells you that you have to wash your hands, I'm not sure how many children listen to that. If you have a phenomenon saying to the children, you have to wash your hands, I'm sure you have around the world a few 100 million children who say, Ronaldo is telling me I have to wash my hand, I have to wash my hands. And this is modern society, and this is also part of the social role that we have and part of the educational role that we have and that you have. And if we can work together in these projects, I think it is fantastic.
Fantastic. Another trend we notice is playing use their social media to have their say on social matters. Is that something that you welcome?
Well, you know, players are people. So for me, it's normal, it's natural that they express their views. I'm definitely a defender of freedom of expression, always with respect, never with disrespect or with violence. But whenever a football player is expressing his views, his opinions in a respectful way, in the right way, obviously this has to be welcome because it has an impact in society, and we want to have positive impact in society, and we want football to have positive impact in society.
Yeah. After the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, how does FIFA feel about players taking the knee at the kickoff or after scoring a goal?
FIFA is strongly advocating tolerance, mutual respect, and common sense when these matters are debated. These are important matters. We have a zero tolerance policy against all forms of discrimination, not only racism, but all forms of discrimination. We must say no to racism. We must say no to violence. And we want to be leading by example as well in this particular debate. And for this, we have also launched a campaign in this respect. You were part as well of this campaign, and maybe you can tell us also something about it. I think it is important to make the voice of football heard, and and to show tolerance. Actually, it's a simple message that everyone should understand. That unfortunately is not yet the case, but with time, hopefully, we can get there. But I don't know what you think about it and how you felt as well the campaign that we launched all together.
Yeah, that was amazing campaign we did with all the legends and all the current players. I was very glad to participate because fight against racism is not a fight for the black people. It's everybody's fight, and we have to fight every day. No one born racist, so somehow they learn to be racist, and we have to fight to those who learn that when is kid, but it's everybody's fight, and we have to continue to fight every day, every time, Let people, follow us on this fight, and we have a voice, a loud voice. So we have to scream to the people about that. I'm very glad to participate in the campaign against the racism because I suffer in the past too. So we have to continue to fight. And as FIFA legend, a former football player with a big audience and my social media, we have to continue to fight every day.
Every day.
Mr. President,
Absolutely.
we have no time. The time is over. David is already here to join us. But I want to thank you very, very much to join us on this World Football Summit by Ronaldo. It was amazing conversation, amazing interview. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon.
Well, thank you, my friend. It has been amazing. Thanks to the moderator, the one asking question who is the real phenomenon, so it makes it easy for me as well to. And your English is what did you learn English?
It's another fight I have, I'm always very close to have a very good English, but it's my third language I speak. I'm always speaking Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese, but I have to finally do something with my English.
It's fantastic. No, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It
Thank
really
you,
is.
Mr. President.
I would say I
Change.
would absolutely echo those thoughts. Thank you very much indeed. And Ronaldo, I have just recommended to the World Football Summit team that in fact you host the whole of the summit, all 5 days next time around, because you did impeccably well, my friend. That was awesome. It was such a good interview.
Thank
We
you,
covered.
David.
We ended on a very sobering, serious note about fighting every day, and that's what we're all doing, right? And I think that's what you, particularly through your career, you did every day. And Gianni, in your job, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to fight for a better world that football can impact so positively. We talked about COVID-19 and how difficult that's been, but how you have to foster the spirit of solidarity, unity, and understanding. We talked about current issues and FIFA's role, some complex issues there that we negotiated with the international match calendar, the new Club World Cup, also player contracts and transfer market. And also, I'm glad that you haven't been inundated with legal cases, because it seems like common sense has prevailed there and everyone understands that the real delicate nature of this situation. We touched on women's football. Great to hear it's a top priority. We've covered it in depth here at WFS Live, powered by Ronaldo, that it's got a bright future and that you're asking everyone to invest in women's football. I think that's such a key message. And all of the initiatives there for positive social impact through the FIFA Foundation, the Football for Schools program, in the spirit of collaboration with other organizations. Of course, football has this incredible power, doesn't it? This incredible influence. And therefore, it has a responsibility. And I think you guys have really explained that so very well. So I'm very, very grateful to you both for being with us here on the final day of WFS Live, powered by Ronaldo. And that almost brings us to a close of what's been a whirlwind, but wonderfully fulfilling 5 days of compelling content. Let me just bring you some numbers here. 37 sessions, 158 speakers, 3,407 attendees from 120 countries. Yes, we really have spanned the globe. It's very impressive. So many thanks to our super speakers, our master moderators, including, of course, Ronaldo Nazario, to the whole team behind the scenes at World Football Summit, and to all of you who've attended, especially for your energy and your interaction. Hopefully you'll leave enthused and enriched with tangible take-homes to implement. We look forward to seeing you again, either in person or virtually, at another World Football Summit event. But let's leave the final word to the man who this event has been powered by. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we call to the stage Ronaldo Nazario.
Thank you, David. Just want to thank you, all the participants of the first edition of World Football Summit, powered by Ronaldo. We were more than 3,000 people from all the continents. Thanks to all the 158 speakers. It was amazing, and I watched almost all of them. Thank you to all sponsors that made it possible. Thanks to FIFA, leagues, and all the federation and clubs. Thanks to the World Football Summit to believe in me, to believe in my crazy ideas. Thank you to my people from Octagon Brazil, and thank you Rios Comunicação, and I hope to see you soon again in Brazil on the next World Football Summit. And thank you very much, you all. Please run the final video.